Hey guys, Brandy here. Welcome back to the channel, Sewing Back. Today we're out here on my side property, and it's not quite the golden hour. You can see the sunlight starting to come over, but this right here is a little patch of my goldenrod. I've got it going in a lot of different little places over here. Last year I just had a small little bit of it that had come up, but it is goldenrod harvest day. And so today's high was like 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Our low was I think it was right around 45. And so it's pretty chilly. It's been very breezy today. It was very breezy yesterday when the cold front came in. And that's kind of where we are in fall. And so our first frost is normally around October 31st. Last year we got an early frost in early October, which killed all of our late summer stuff and messed up some of my fall crops. But you know, it's what happens. You never know here. So right now, the 10-day forecast, we're not expecting our first frost yet, but we're definitely getting chillier. And my goldenrod is now in full bloom, and so I want to go and harvest it. So goldenrod has a lot of medicinal and beneficial properties. You can make salves, particularly if you have arthritic pain. It's great for anti-inflammatory. It's also soothing for skin issues like eczema. You can make tincture. I actually did a tincture last year with you guys, and we've used almost all of the tincture. I didn't have a whole lot. I made a small batch of it. It was the first time I had done it, and I ended up getting bronchitis, which is what it's really good for, in December. And a matter of fact, when I went to my doctor and it was just kind of lingering, he told me to keep using the goldenrod. I also took some prescription medication, but it was totally safe to take with it. You need to check with your own professional and with whatever you're taking. I was blessed that I had a doctor who was familiar with it and knew that it was good for a productive cough. I also have a lot of food allergies and medicine allergies, and so the fact that I found something that's natural that I'm not allergic to and it helped me greatly. I actually use my tincture in a tea, and with some elderberry. I would make my elderberry tea, and I would add at night before I'd go to bed, I would actually add the goldenrod to it, and it helped me so I could sleep through the night and I didn't cough all night. And I also have a child who's asthmatic, and it helped him. So there's also been some other studies that have come out from like Emory University on goldenrod and things like that. If you do your homework, you can look into that with some of the bugs and things that are in our world today that it has shown promise. So, but it grows, it's what some would call a weed. It's a beautiful weed with its golden flowers. They look beautiful in bouquets. They smell amazing. I had no idea until I harvested some last year how great they smell. And they just make a beautiful, if you just want some of the flowers that you dry and you make some tea, that in itself is beautiful. It has a lovely mild flavor. And if you're a hot tea connoisseur, herbal tea person, you should give it a try. I loved it. I couldn't believe how much I liked it. So I liked it better than I like my elderberry tea, and I love my elderberry tea. So anyway, I'm gonna go over, some of the light is starting to shine on it, so maybe you'll get a little bit of that as we move closer. But I'm gonna be harvesting. I need to get a bucket to put it in. Some of these I will dry for tea, and some of it I will take in, and I'm just going to go ahead and jar up, and we're going to make another tincture. Tinctures take some time. They have to the alcohol has to infuse through the plant so that it can take its properties. And after a period of time, you strain it out, and then you store it in like an amber glass bottle, and you take as needed. And I will tell you, with any tincture, always start small, in a small portion, and make sure you do okay. Again, if you're on prescription medication, you need to talk to your doctors, because just because it's a naturally occurring plant, a lot of supplements and plants and all those things can interact with pharmaceuticals. So you can talk to your pharmacist. Honestly, your pharmacist is probably the best one to speak with, because they usually have a decent amount of plant knowledge and supplement knowledge if it's going to interfere with prescription medication. Because you don't want to do that. You don't, you can take too much of something that's natural growing in nature, just like you can a prescription medication. So don't just think, if I do a whole bunch of it, I'm going to feel great, or it's going to do this or that. You need to do some research. You need to talk with your doctor and be honest. Not all doctors are anti-natural options. My endocrinologist that I've had for a couple decades now has always been a huge supporter of diet, exercise, and herbal teas. She loves a lot of different herbal teas and feels like that a lot of those can really help you if you have a good diet and exercise. And of course, if you need other medications for other things, she's also, well versed in that. So don't be afraid to have these conversations with your doctor. And if you have a doctor who's not willing to have those conversations, maybe you need to seek another doctor or a nurse practitioner. I've also found a lot of nurse practitioners who are more than happy to have these kind of discussions with you. So if you can see, I still have bees over here because it's gotten cold. There's not a lot. I still have a few Mexican sunflowers, but so many of the flowers are done and spent. So these few little things, the bees are just like, no. And so I have to be a little careful because it is the golden hour. A lot of times this is when bees are doing their last little thing before they're gonna go back home. And most of these bees are volunteer bees, so they kind of make their homes in garden beds. I do have a couple bee houses, the wood chips, things like that, depending. So I want to be a little bit careful and mindful that they're out here, and I'm not going to take it all. I'm going to take what I need and leave the rest. Another thing about goldenrod is, like I said, it's pretty much plentiful. It grows pretty much everywhere in the United States. I'm pretty sure that it grows probably a lot of places other than the United States. But you want to be careful where you harvest things from. You don't want to be out in national parks or state parks and you're harvesting goldenrod. We want to protect these beneficial herbs, weeds, plants, because they do support nature, and so we don't want to over harvest those kinds of things. The other thing is, if you know like a place where there might be that you can get it, make sure that that's not a place where it's going to have been sprayed by landscapers and things like that, because you do not want to consume that, and you don't want to tincture or salve that. So you want to make sure that it's clean, it hasn't had those things, and to the best that you can before harvesting. So now we're going to come over here and I'm going to clip. And one of the things when we make our tincture and our teas is you can use some of the end leaves as well as the flowers. So that I'm going to be cutting probably a little bit down so that I'm getting some of the leaves as well as the flowers. And I'm going to do my best not to irritate the bees. My side yard is the deer cut through. Last week we had over 20 back over here, and that wasn't any of the bucks. There's a few bucks. There's a couple button bucks, but there's also a couple big old bucks. Okay guys, so you may be wondering, where do you get your recipe for making a goldenrod tincture, or honestly a lot of other tinctures, or a salve, or you can also do infused goldenrod honey. There's a lot, and then of course you can infuse the oil to make a salve. And so I have several different books, but this was one that I got. I actually met Suzanne Shires at the Farm Where You Are conference that we went to in the spring in North Carolina. And this is called Wild Herb Gardening. And I can link her blog in the description. And if you're interested in picking up one of her books, I'm not an affiliate. I met her. I bought a few of her different tinctures, which were really good. And I have really been enjoying this book. It's very practical. It's easy reading. It still gives you the scientific and botanical type names, and tells you, you know, its energetics, if it's bitter, all the different things. It kind of walks you through all of that. It's just easy to digest, and I really like it. She has some pretty pictures. This one was actually for Forsythia, and she gives you some recipes and things like that. So now, I didn't have this book when I did my tincture last year. I had just done some research, and it's very similar, just to make a lot of the tinctures are very similar. So it wasn't like it's super hard or whatever, but that is one of my resources. Okay guys, so you have been watching me take the leaves and the blossoms. You don't need to like rough chop it or anything like that. I'm mainly just trying to get a good idea of how much is in my jar with how much vodka I have. So it's usually about half of plant matter, and you would fill it up, leave about 1 inch of headspace. And then you cover it in 80 to 100 proof vodka. Doesn't need to be expensive vodka. It just needs to be 80 to 100 proof, because that already has the water alcohol content without you having to do a lot of math. And I don't do that kind of math. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to pour over my vodka and see. I've got 2 open bottles that I need to. So that's about halfway. So this was probably about the right quantity for the size bottle I had. Whew, strong stuff, y'all. It was funny, my son came down and he says, "What are you doing with vodka?" I said, "Oh, I'm making a tincture." So that's probably about the correct ratio. And you just want to kind of tap that down. So this has some of the leaves as well as most of it as the flower. All right, so all I'm going to do now, you can see that? And all I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this little plastic lid, and I'm going to right. Um, Goldenrod tincture, 10/8/23. So I'm going to let this infuse somewhere between 6 and 8 weeks, probably more around 6, and then I will strain it. And when I strain it, then I just put it in an amber glass bottle. I reuse kombucha bottles because I already bought the kombucha, so the bottle's free. And you can get little droppers and things like that if you want to use a dropper or a teaspoon. I have both. I've done both. So, but I'm going to go put this down on my shelf, in my on my canning pantry shelf in the back, so that it's dark. And I'm just going to leave it around alone. Some people will tell you to shake it from time to time. Um, that's not a bad idea, but honestly, you don't have to do anything. It's kind of up to you. But that's how you do a tincture. With the rest of the goldenrod, I am destemming it, and the leaves that are newer leaves, they don't have like any kind of pest pressure kind of stuff. I'm also taking those off. I'm putting these on my food dehydrating trays. I have a Kasori food dehydrator, and I'm mainly just putting those here so that they can dry inside my food dehydrator. I'm not going to turn it on. I don't want to cook the plant or lose any of its properties. But I have just found this is a great way to dry out different plants, and it kind of keeps it out of my way. It keeps my dog's hair out of it. I have a English cream golden retriever. If you've been around here, you've seen him. And so putting it in there is just a great way for me to dry out my herbs and stuff for teas. So that's what I'm doing here. I want to thank you for being here and checking out our video today. I hope, like I said, that you found this helpful. If you did, we would love it if you do all the things. And I'm going to keep working on this. And don't forget, I will link in the description the Wild Herb Gardening by Suzanne Shire. And she does, I'm pretty sure on her site, I don't know if she sells tinctures and stuff on her site or not, or if you have to go to like one of the fairs and stuff that she's at where she sells them. I don't remember that part of it, but you could easily this is a great book, a great resource to have. As I said, it's an easy read if you're interested in learning, a little bit more about plants that can help you. And again, I just want to say, remember, talk to your pharmacist if you take medications, to make sure that nothing is going to interact. You can make yourself sick with plant things just like, pharmaceutical things. So just be aware. You need to do your due diligence for yourself or your family. So with that, I thank you very much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.